What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode 3 and 4, Power Broker, and the whole world is watching. So, a little unconventional, I had to watch both of these episodes at once and talk about them both at once, so if I miss something, probably will. It's fine. It's how these reviews go sometimes. But first, I want to talk about just a couple things that I'm not a huge fan of, which is not a whole lot of stuff. But one thing that I will say has kind of been noticeable to me is just there are times when it feels like the editing is a little too fast, a little too rushed, which I kind of get just because it's kind of a big story, especially considering how little time they have to go for. They have a lot of different moving pieces going on, a lot of different stories to choose from and talk about. And there are times whenever some stories feel like they kind of get pushed to the side or really just don't get a whole lot of focus, and then suddenly everything is happening in that story. So there are just a couple moments. One that stuck out to me was whenever Falcon and Bucky go talk to Carly, and the next thing you know, like they're just about to get into a fight with her, and she didn't have a mask or anything that looked like a mask near her, and all of a sudden her mask is on and she's fighting, and it just seemed like there are certain cuts where it feels like it jumps very quickly, or Bucky just happens to notice the Wakanda beads lying around, didn't even really get a hint that he knew something was happening. And suddenly he's looking down on the ground and he picks one up and he picks up another one and he's talking to the Wakandan warrior. So there's some scenes like that where it feels like characters just sort of know something that we don't know, or they picked up on something that we didn't pick up on at all, and suddenly they know what's going on. It just happens a few too many times. And again, I don't know how much of that is just down to they have a lot of story to get through and not a whole lot of time, and how much of it is just pure mistakes. But there have been a few, especially compared to WandaVision. I don't feel like WandaVision had as many editing errors as this show has, at least in these past couple episodes. And then the other thing that I wasn't a huge fan of is the whole story between John Walker and his friend. I just feel like, I like how it ended, but I feel like we didn't really get enough build up between the two of them. I feel like the show wanted us to care a bit more about them than we were supposed to, like their friendship. Obviously, the way the new Captain America is acting, I mean, he's kind of acting like a jerk. I don't think we're supposed to like him at all. But one thing that I feel like it didn't do a good job, for me at least, is I wanted to feel more of an impact when his friend gets killed. And I wanted to feel like I could totally see him reacting that way because of the friendship they share. But we only got a few scenes of them together, and I feel like that storyline, again, kind of like some of the other editing errors, it was just sort of pushed to the side, and we only got like a couple scenes where they're kind of rushing their story and saying, "Oh, look, guys, they care about each other so much. Like, this is going to hurt him whenever he dies." So I felt like that was a little too rushed and a little too quick. But everything else I'm really enjoying. Like, again, I really like the whole spy thriller type of theme they've got going on, where people are having to trust people that they normally wouldn't, like Zemo, and working with the bad guys to try to make things happen. I've always enjoyed stories like that, where it feels like you don't know who to trust. Like, is Zemo really trying to help them because he wants to get rid of the super soldiers, or does he have some sort of hidden agenda that we don't know about? There's a lot of good questions that the show is raising that I feel like is keeping my interest peaked, and it makes me want to see how all this is going to play out. I really like as well the Flag Smashers. They are giving them a good backstory, and I kind of hinted at this a little bit. I figured they were going to be people who were kind of didn't have a whole lot before the blip, and then managed to get a whole lot during the blip, and now don't have a whole lot again. And I can understand that. Like, it is kind of a relatable thing to be like, wait a minute, we had all of this stuff and now you're just taking it from us for all these other people. Like, it is kind of, it's something that is easily relatable to, and is something that a lot of people can understand, even if their methods are not obviously agreeable. And I like the fact that Sam is trying to understand where they're coming from, and he is trying to reason with her, but trying to keep her from going down this dark path. And that does bring up another interesting point that has really got my interest peaked, and that is this new super soldier serum. Like, finding out that this doctor's been working on it before the blip, and then he got blipped out, and now he's been working on it again for this power broker character. It's very interesting to see how is this new serum going to compare to the original serum that was made by Erskine. Like, is it going to be the same thing? Are they going to have the same side effects that the original did? Is it having completely different side effects that have nothing to do with the personality of the person? it is kind of an interesting concept, and it does make me wonder if what we're seeing from Carly and what we saw from John Walker at the end, is this an effect of the serum, or is this something deep down inside of them that's getting brought out by the serum? And that's kind of the one thing that a lot of people have been bringing up, I've seen online, is the whole idea of, well, we don't need a good soldier to take the serum, we need a good man because it'll amplify the goodness inside of him. And so that's been kind of the interesting thing to see the differences in how this new serum appears to be affecting the people. Because we've seen some of the Flag Smashers, even though they have the super soldier serum inside of them, they aren't reacting the same way as Carly. They're not as cold-hearted. They seem to still feel and care about people, whereas she is kind of started to act more like, well, if it helps our cause, I don't mind if we drop a few bodies. So it's just very interesting concepts being brought out by all of that. But the other thing that kind of interesting and don't really know a whole lot about yet because it hasn't been given a whole lot of time yet, but Sharon Carter. Really curious to see where her story is going to go because, I don't know, she's kind of been a character that was pushed to the side after everything that happened in Winter Soldier and Captain America Civil War. She kind of got pushed to the side. We never saw her again until now. And now apparently she's been on the run for years and she's just sort of given into this shady underside of the world just to survive, basically. And it's kind of interesting. You know, it's a different route for her character. I feel like it is a little bit forced. It is a little bit kind of out of nowhere, but it makes sense to bring her up in this show because she's another person who was close with Captain America. So it does make a lot of sense to see her again. But I'm curious to see what they're going to do with her in the end. Is she going to be important with this power broker character? It seems like there's been a lot of theories apparently that she is the power broker. I feel like she's possibly working with him, or maybe she's working undercover for him. I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities with what she's doing right now that I feel like they could really explore and try to keep us guessing in the end. But that's something that I feel like needs a bit more time to grow and see what they're going to do with it. And then the final thing before I talk about obviously the most shocking in these two episodes is the whole idea of the what's it called? The GRC, I think, the Global something. I don't even remember what it's called now. But this group is kind of, it's interesting because at the beginning of the season, it felt like they were going to be kind of one of the antagonists. Like the Flag Smashers were obviously building up to be one of the main villains, but the GRC seemed to be the other villains that were, they're not exactly bad people, but they are not good people either. They're the government. They're not helping out people that need the help, and that's what's causing the Flag Smashers to go to these extremes. It seemed like that was going to be the interesting battle, and it was going to be Bucky and Sam trying to figure out whose side they should be on, or if they just needed to take them both out. But slowly they've become less and less important. It seems like they're more just kind of the antagonist for the Flag Smashers instead of the antagonist for the show. So they're still getting mentioned. We're still seeing them, but they don't really seem to be as involved as they were in the first two episodes. And I find that kind of interesting because it felt like that would have been kind of an interesting concept where you've got this government organization that's supposed to be helping people but isn't, and is kind of taking advantage of the people that are being kind of pushed out by the people who came back from the blip. And it's kind of an interesting dichotomy because they are technically trying to help people, but the Flag Smashers see it as, well, you're not helping us enough. You're not doing anything to really keep us from going back to living in poverty after what happened to us. So it's weird, but also kind of interesting because now they're bringing in this power broker character who might be another antagonist who's chasing after Flag Smashers. And it's kind of building this really complex web of all these different people who are chasing after somebody else for a different reason. You've got Zemo in the mix now. You've got these Wakandan warriors in the mix now. So very intriguing, but like I said earlier, it's a lot of moving pieces. And I feel like I don't think they had enough time to really work through all that. Maybe they will. You know, we got 2 more episodes left. Maybe they'll find a way to work it all in and it'll feel like it's very fluid and it'll be amazing. But based on what I've seen so far, it kind of feels like there's a little too much going on. And I'm worried that it's all going to sort of come to a head and there's going to be so much happening that it's going to be hard to really keep up with everything that's happening. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do with it, but at the moment there is that little bit of concern that they've bitten off more they can chew. But yeah, let's talk about that final scene. I mean, it's been an interesting ride with this new Cap because obviously nobody really liked him when he first came in. Understandably, he was kind of a jerk. He wasn't the same as Steve. People don't like change. It totally makes sense why people didn't like him. And then the more we got to know him, the more he showed he was the jerk that we thought he was. And he had his moments where he seemed like a decent guy. He seemed like a good soldier, but he definitely had his moments where you can tell he's just deep down he's not really a good guy. He's willing to do whatever it takes to get the job done. And unfortunately, that's not what Captain America is. And that really got shown in the fourth episode, where we see, even at the beginning of the third, we saw a little bit of a glimpse of him losing himself because he felt like he wasn't doing enough. He felt like he just wasn't good enough. And so when episode 4 hits, it does feel like a very natural progression to go from, I don't feel good enough, I don't feel like I'm worthy of this, to here's my chance to finally feel like I'm worthy enough because I need more strength. And it fits his character. He seems like the type that, oh, if I just have more strength, if I just have the ability to be stronger and take down these stronger opponents, that will make me good enough. That will give me the boost I need to be Captain America. And it's very much a pride thing. And what's the famous saying? Pride comes before the fall. And this episode showed his fall. And it's just so real, in my opinion. And honestly, I feel like it's going to hopefully change a lot of people's opinion because I feel like so far Captain America hasn't really been that interesting. And I've talked a little bit about how I didn't want him to be just another Hayward where, oh, he's just evil government guy and you can't trust the government. I wanted him to be more interesting. And I feel like this finally made me interested in his character because he loses his friend, but he's got the super soldier serum inside of him. He decided to take it because he felt like that would give him the edge, that would give him what he needed to really push past all of this struggle that he's going through. But the strength isn't what he needed. He needed more in here. He needed more in here. And it just ultimately comes crashing down in that moment when he loses his friend. He loses himself. And the serum sort of takes over. And, well, you saw what happened. I'll be curious to see what this is going to do because, spoilers if you haven't played Last of Us 2, I like the idea of the concept of the circle of revenge. Because it never just ends. You see what happened in the first Last of Us with Joel killing all these fireflies, and then Abby loses her father because of that, and so in 2, she goes and kills Joel, and then Ellie goes on her rampage because of what Abby did, and she kills a lot of Abby's friends. So it's just interesting to see how this whole circle of vengeance and revenge can really, it's not good, and it only hurts everybody around the people that are involved. So now we see Carly kills, I'm honestly blanking on his name, Lamar, Battlestar. We see that she kills him, and then he goes and kills her best friend. Possibly a romantic connection, I couldn't really tell. But now he's dead, and she sees that he killed him. So it's going to be interesting to see if she continues to go on her rampage to get back at him, and then he's going to go on his rampage to get back at her. And it's only going to hurt the people around him. I don't know if that's what they're planning to do with it, but if they do, it's always kind of an interesting story to take. It's hard to watch most of the time because you just feel awful for everybody involved. It's because they're not really the ones doing anything. It's just these two main people that just keep trying to get back at the other person, and all the innocent people just get caught in the crossfire. And it's hard to watch. It's sad. So I'd be really curious to see if they decide to do that or not. Obviously, Walker got caught on all these cameras killing this guy, so pretty sure the government is probably going to take him down as Captain America now. Like, I don't think he's going to be Cap anymore, at least if they're smart, because it's not a good look for America. To have your mascot killing a man in cold blood, that wasn't even really defending himself, just killing him in the middle of the street with all these people watching. Yeah, you got to probably pull the shield away from him, but I do feel like that's just going to drive him further down the hole because he took the serum to make himself feel worthy, and now he's taking the shield away more than likely. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with his character next and how they decide to take him further from here. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. It's been a lot of fun. I am worried about how they're going to manage all these storylines near the end of the episode, but So far, they've at least got my interest peaked, and they've got me wanting to see more. They've got me wanting to see how the story ends. So yeah, I'm excited. Can't wait to see how the next two episodes go. But that's it for me. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts in these two episodes? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Marvel shows and Falcon the Winter Soldier. And I'll see you guys at the next one. Peace out.